Hey y'all, it's Wednesday. It's me. How you doing? Marissa Alexander, and this is Thinking Out Loud. How are you today? And we're going to be talking about your favorite topic, child support. It is what it is, love it or hate it, but we're going to talk about what we love and what we hate about it and what maybe we could do about it because we can. So, how are y'all doing? I hope somebody has loved on you today. I hope you got a hug. I hope you were supported. I hope you were encouraged. And if your day sucked, I hope by the end of 11:59 p.m. today, it gets just a little bit better. Just a little bit. And this is a hug. I'm sending you a hug. It's a hug. All right. So we're going to be talking about child support, y'all. And I'd like for you all to chime in. Tell me where you're from, what you got going on. Let me know what kind of day you had. My day was swell. I don't have any complaints. My allergies didn't do as bad today, so I'm good on that. So tell me about yours. Let's talk about it. So did you know that as of 2017, it costed roughly from birth to the age of 17, about $250,000 to raise a child from birth through the age of 17, almost 18. $250,000. Yeah, we know kids are expensive. That means expensive. it requires a lot of everything you have, including a lot out of your pockets. So we're gonna talk a little bit about some of those nuances today. And I got to thinking about it when I was looking some stuff up, because if you just break that down per year, that's roughly $13,000 based on that $250,000. So it's like roughly 13, almost $14,000 per year up until the age of their 17. And then that's roughly about, what was it? 1,000 and 1,200 a month, about 1,200 a month was roughly about that. So if it's 1,200 a month split between both parents, that's like what, 600 a piece? I don't know how much people are paying currently in child support. Like, if you want to divulge that information, knock yourself out. But from just some of the comments and things that I've seen, I don't see that anybody is at least there for one child. 600 for one child. So that's that. So just so you know, child support for the most part is going to be a part. If you're married, it's going to be a part of the process when you're separating and divorcing. If you do have kids, so that's going to be included in there. However, you do have the option to not allow it to be governed by the state. You don't have to just because you're married. And I can tell you for myself, in none of my cases, none of them have been on child support, and everything has been okay. And I know it's different for everybody, but I'm just letting you know my circumstances. And then the other thing is, if you work together in a legal way, which would be marriage, then I guess there's a process for either putting yourself on child support or putting the other parent on child support. So that's what I know about child support. And I think it might be another thing. If you get assistance, like state assistance, like child food stamps or child care like that, I think they also require in some cases for the other parent that's requiring that assistance to put the parent on child support if I guess they're not together and not in the same household and not applying together. So that's that. So there's an option to work out the financial support and time sharing. And a lot of the times, the reason why that doesn't take place is because there is ineffective communication, past issues and hurts that have not been resolved. And so the child's needs are not centered. And so instead of having that conversation and centering that around the child, it gets to be about everything else. And then child support at some point is used as a retaliation tool. In those cases, we've seen that. And then the other thing is just forcing somebody to do what they're supposed to do. Sometimes, unfortunately, you have to force somebody to take responsibility and help out with the needs of the child care as necessary. So we'll have questions and things at the end. If you could think of any other reasons why somebody would, you know, initiate the process for that outside of some of the things that I mentioned, let me know. Because, this is not all happening, at least my situation, or just this in a vacuum. We know it's nuanced and there's a lot of context. So that's that. Let's talk about what child support can't cover real quickly, because I understand that it can be a bit much to have an entity, a state entity, coming to you and putting your sup on your check. I mean, and before you even see your net, your sup is out. Like that's that. But outside of the monetary aspects of child support, there's also just your basic security. Children need security, just the basic overall well-being of all of their needs to be secure, the basic survival needs. The other thing is just stability. Children need to be in an environment that's stable. Ideally, it would be both parents, but if not, where they are in an environment where there's not a lot of disruption and things like that. They need stability. Okay. Another thing is just consistency. The parents should be on the same page about the foundation and values on how they will raise the children, and that consistency in both homes needs to be there. Let's see here. Another thing would be emotional support. That's super huge, because our words and our actions really shape the way our emotional well-being of the kids, and we have to be respectful, trustworthy, encourage self-esteem, because if not, those things are the things that end up being a problem later on, right? And they need to be solid. Love, obviously, lots of it, lots of love. I don't think you can give a kid too much love. You can avoid discipline and cause issues, but we'll kind of get to that. But anyway, just showing love in and all times, even when they make mistakes, even when you want to wring their neck. Don't be violent. Absolutely, just loving them. And it's easy to love somebody when everything is copacetic and they're doing everything that we think they should do. It's a challenge when things are difficult and they get to that age where you feel personal about it. It's like that. So that's one thing. Education. Another thing, child support doesn't necessarily, well, it can, depending on the circumstances, private school, if that's what you're into. But nonetheless, money does not do homework. Okay. Money does not take the time to do homework and make sure that it's getting done, and making sure that they're staying on top of the things that they need to do in order to get passing grades and be successful. So that form, when I talk about education, I'm mostly talking about that. The other thing is just positive role model. I mean, we are our children's first role models. And it's important that we model the behavior that we want them to grow up to be. That's super huge. So think about that, positive role models. And then structure. The lack of structure, again, money doesn't necessarily do or provide, is very important, because when a child doesn't have structure, they end up doing things and becoming an adult faster. And not only that, with the lack of structure, we set them up for failure in life, because a lot of everything that we do in our day-to-day lives and when we interact with people and go to work is about, the way we were structured. And if they don't have these rules and these boundaries and these limits, in which that's what structure does, then obviously that's going to set them up for a lot of hard problems in life, So let me talk about some of the things that I would change about child support. Now, I'm going to ask you all what your thoughts are. These were things that I thought about just just from my, knowledge of talking with certain friends and just things that I know about child support. So if you have any other things that you would do to actually change it, I'd love to hear about it, because I'm gonna read some of the comments later, like towards the end. Okay. So just off the rip, mine was child support and time sharing, which I always believe should not be a separate process. I think I just think it's not cool. I think it's designed that way. I think it is designed that way, but I don't believe that should be a separate process. If one has to go before a state agency to have them intercede, then they should do so not just from the providing and resource aspect of it. The most important is the quality of time, the time they need with their parents. So I think those two should be done in the same setting, whether you are, when you're married, it's already usually in there in the process, but when you're not, it's not. And I don't think that's right. I think that is something that hugely needs to change. I think taking away the licenses for people who are in arrearage and depending on the circumstances get so far back, and so they're in the hole and they're trying to catch up. Taking away someone's license is counterproductive to me. And I think that it's a possibility that someone could run into a hard time. And so if they need to be getting to work or finding employment, then, setting them up to get in trouble with losing their license, forcing them to then break the law, because that's a catch-22. I gotta find work. I gotta find a job. It's much easier for me to do that if I have transportation and a valid license. Oh, wait, if I get pulled over, boom, that's the police, right? Police interaction ends in what? Black dude getting shot. Like it just cannot be that level of escalation due to, an inability to catch yourself up where you need to based on child arrearage. And see, to me, that's just another way of getting state agencies and enforcement involved in things that we don't need them involved with. But that's just my thoughts on that. Okay, I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, but this is my thoughts. I believe that allowing people to recoup money for years and years from another parent due to either their irresponsibility, their neglect, or just quite frankly, not even knowing. For the most part, these are the cases that I'm talking about. Not knowing about a child is not cool. I don't think that's cool. I think that, if being that the other parent had to raise the child, I think a better solution would be to look at the fact that they did pay taxes and take that into consideration, because that helps everything. That helps the whole running of the country. The other thing is, I think that there should be a percentage that should be allowed over that period of time, depending on how long it is. If the child is 18, at that point, legally, they're considered an adult. I think the best thing to do would be to take a percentage or a fraction of that money and either put it towards a life insurance policy for the child or a trust fund. That's my thoughts on that. I understand people will be like, well, I did the whole thing for all of them. And that's what you do when you lay down and you engage in activities where you don't control your bodily fluids. That's what it is. So, we all got a dog in this race. So that's just kind of how it has to be, to me, or at least I think that's where it should be, because then you don't get into the aspect of somebody taking advantage of these type of things. And I've heard stories where one parent has not told the actual father that is in fact their child. So another man or woman raised this child, it's usually that way around, raised the child. And so they did have help, but oh wait, 18 years later, let me, collect. I don't think that's right, because a lot of people have had their retirements taken away. And I think to work all that time and have that actually come in and take a large chunk of your retirement, it's not good for the person overall well-being. And I know some people are like, I don't give a damn. I get you. I'm with you. But we want to talk about the things we put out there and the things, in other words, the things that we sow and what we reap. Because I've seen some situations where people being at just bad, and later on in life, was not good for them. That's just my thoughts on that. So moving forward, what do I think needs to happen to take a shift? And different things like that. Let me tell you what I think. I think prevention is the key. Okay. I think when we start talking about the reactive approach, we get these entities, these state institutions that have already been designed to do everything they can to oppress a certain group of people, to step it up a notch. You know what I mean? So that's when all of these things that we see that we experience are exaggerated because of whatever decisions we made previously, for whatever reason. Then we have state intervention. And I'm all about us really working to govern ourselves so that we can have less dependence, for one, two, in any interaction with those state agencies whose sole purpose is to make money out of whatever they can. It's like, oh, I'm gonna help you, but I'm hurt you too, because that's just the way things are designed. Okay, so I think a good place to start is really shifting the attitudes that we have around, irresponsibility, irresponsible engaging with one another in our relationships. And go away, shoe fly. Sorry, y'all. And and I think that the social conditioning around, it being a badge of honor to be promiscuous, or putting the responsibility solely on the woman or female is actually, somewhere we need to start, because I think everybody's responsible. Both parties are going to be responsible. Okay. Let me say it plainly. We're gonna have to figure out a way to have direct conversations about what happens and the long-term consequences of exchange of bodily fluids. Okay, listen, because both people are responsible. That's that. Women carry a large responsibility as it relates to, actually being impregnated and contraception, or different ways to prevent pregnancy. And let's see what else we actually have responsibility for. Maintaining the abstinence, of course. I mean, I understand, that's the way it is. And I get all that. I do. But my question is, how many, I got a son. I don't want him tied to, somebody that's going to give him hell for the next 18 years. And I know that he doesn't want to either. So then the question is, it would be the responsibility of both of us to talk about how we are going to engage in the event that something, takes place, because condoms are not 100%. Neither are birth control. It's not 100%. And then let's not even talk about the venereal diseases. Lord, some of them just not curable. So then you could be sick, and then in a pattern of, having to care. So that's a whole nother animal, because now you're talking about medical bills and coverage, and it's your overall health. And then again, the responsibility of child rendering. Okay. And so I think that we should do a better job of really having conversations about what all of that looks like. I don't think we talk about it, but we don't make it a main focus. We talk about all the bad, this and all this, and all this other things, and what you do with a person. All right, that's pleasurable, but it sure can bring a lifetime of pain. a lifetime of suffering. And then the unfortunate, most important thing is the kids suffer. If we ain't on the same page, then the kids suffer. Then you have a child with this kind of, challenging growing up experience. Maybe they can't maybe take care of it. So then the child isn't necessarily being raised. They're just growing up among family. I mean, we have to have these conversations. We have to get in front of it. Now, I know it sounds, kind of idealistic. I understand that, but I'm much more prepared to move that needle than counting on a system that is designed to do what it does to have any breaks. And I much rather put us in a situation as a community so that we don't have so many children in these stressful environments and not being cared for or not seeing parents, you know what I mean? And then ultimately having some part of their soul feeling some kind of way because they didn't have the other, they don't have a relationship with the other parent. That's not cool. So my idea is the prevention. I think that if we know, and we do know this, that system is set up to trap us, well, let's be more responsible in engaging in honest conversations and promoting the level of responsibility needed when engaging in that activity in a responsible way. And I'm talking about outside of condoms and all of that. I'm talking about when you're going to be with somebody, what that whole picture could look like, and then how it can completely change the trajectory of your life, because it does. I'm not saying that where you want to go, you can't get there. I'm just saying sometimes it takes just a little bit longer, all that. So I just don't want nobody recklessly, out there just doing whatever and then be tied, to, a beautiful baby, not tied to the baby, excuse me, but have a beautiful baby, this blessing, and be tied to a demon seed for 18 years. Just saying. And then things just take longer, to kind of take off. Just the thought. And lastly, my last thing on this is that I don't believe y'all need to be controlling women's bodies, period. But somehow it's okay to, right? All the way from legislation. Okay. Well, to me, it's much more productive and actually more practical to control the penis. So how about birth control for y'all? I'm just saying. If we don't, we want to not have to make the decision. Like you shouldn't, like if we don't want to have to make the decision about whether or not I'm ready for a child or if I'm not, then let's just put you on birth control. That's my thought. Let me see what y'all talking about. Let's see. Oh, look at all these comments. All right, Leo. Money should not be the topic if he wanted to be a father. If he abandoned, yes, he should pay, but never if he is present. Okay. Yeah. Well, you know what? Money is the topic for a lot of people. And I'm pretty sure, Leo, you've seen the comments. A lot of people make it the focus being the money. But if he's present, let him be present. And I don't think we need to go through the system to force anybody to be present and take care. Let's see here. I'll get to your question, Leon. Let me see. Let me go back up here. Seeing Leo. Let's see. Child support should be more than just about money. Here y'all go. But every time the men make it about money, especially when you have to give it and you want to control how it's spent. Like I just said, it's over $250,000 to raise a child. And if the custody is not 50-50, which if it is, then I don't think there should be child support. I don't even, I don't. And there's some cases where it's just the weekends, you know what I mean? And that's just really not enough time, but that's just the way it's set up. So even if you're paying, let's just say, for instance, for one child, $400 a month. I don't know what the maxes are. And then that's what it says. It's about $1,200 to take care of a child. That's a whole nother $200 on top of the $600 that's split for her which is a whole nother 800 to your 400. And that's not even sweat equity, time, discipline, the attitude you get, the way, all of these things are not considered. It shouldn't be about money, but for some reason it really is. And I don't want it to be about money. I want us to work it out ourselves and it be about the kids, period. Okay. Like girls say, the system is designed for failure. That is the reason why I think it's so important to engage in this conversation where we shift it. Because if you say to a woman, it's just not about money, 9 times out of 10, we can agree to a certain degree. But if she has them 75% of the time and you're the weekend dad by choice, then you get to be the good guy. You don't really got to do anything on the weekend. Not that much. But if it's not by choice, you like, listen, I'd rather split it half to half, and you actually are present with your kids. Not your girlfriend, your boo, and your side chick taking care of the kids the whole time. You understand what I'm saying? Because that happens too. Y'all know I'm gonna be pro women. Let's see. Moses, when you think child support, you think financial support. Call it that way. The terminology is misleading. Okay. And I see what you're saying. And probably that's the reason why at the top of the hour, when I mentioned child support, I included all those other things that are not included in the financial support aspect of child support. So go back and check that out. Let's see here. Let's see. Child support is only good for absent parents. Okay. There you go. If you're not absent and you're present, don't put each other on child support. Share time. Work it out. I mean, listen, I got a situation in which it would probably be the most difficult to work through any type of effective parenting. And yet we're able to do it based on that history that a lot of you all know about. If you don't, check me out. And I worked through it. We worked through it. It's possible. It's possible. And ain't nobody in our business. You know, I'm not saying it will be like that for everyone, but I'm saying it's possible. Okay. Let's see here. Stephen Walker, they have stuff for men. They do? Ooh, tell me about it. I didn't know they had stuff for y'all. Ooh, let me find out. Samaya, can you mention about how the utilities, food, gas, etc. is broken down for the majority custodial parent? Let's share the money wisely. Share the money wisely. Yep. There you go. Let me see here. Get some of you guys that have it. Hey, sir. Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all jumping on. Let me see here. Thank you for the hug, Willie. I ain't seen you forever. I'm glad you got the hug. You know, I know this is not a popular topic, but I'm really more about prevention. I really didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on financial support or child support. I kind of really wanted to give a bigger picture about the whole money aspect of it, because truthfully, when the child support agencies get involved, they don't care about everything else. They don't care about the child support, so to speak. It really is, as the gentleman said, about financial support. But we know that when we have children, it's so much more than that. And a lot of times when we enter into the court system, that is used as a tool to keep us divided. And I would much rather work it out with me and the individual than to be in a position where I'm penalizing somebody that we both participated in to have. And for the child at a certain age, they don't even care about our issues, child support, the judge. They don't care about that. They want us. And if they can't have us under the same roof, they want us to be able to co-parent as best as possible. But what happens is when we feel some kind of way, and we get our egos involved, we center it around money and everything else, and the kids suffer. And on top of that, we just say, hey, system, come punish me. Come make me suffer. I can't work it out with them. I'm gonna show up, whatever the case may be. Come govern me. And all I'm saying is, I don't want their ass in our business. I want our communities to be able to be thriving. We can work it out. The children can be hopefully together in one home. But if not, we don't make it so adversarial by using the system that puts us against one another. That's what I'm saying. You know, ultimately, that's what I'm in with. You know, we're going to have to figure that out, because I don't want to talk about after the fact. That system is solid. You understand? What I'm talking about is what can we do prior to? And since some of us are already in situations that we have kids, we'll teach them better. Talk to them about this stuff. You don't have to drag the other parent, but you can say, this is what could be ahead of you if you don't do X, Y, and Z and govern yourself responsible, both young boys and young girls, period. One sex should not, or gender should not have to carry it more than the other. And if we keep doing that, if we keep being unbalanced, we're going to have an imbalance of the situation, and we're going to just help the system just grow. Imagine what could actually be done with that system if nobody was using it. You know what I mean? Like everything that's put into actually keeping that infrastructure in place could actually go towards something else. That's what I'm saying. I don't really care about the money. I could have actually got more money even after a 50-50. But you know what I said? I don't want it. Because if I have her and you have her and we make sure we're good, I don't even want it. And in the instances where it's for you and you have to enforce it, guess what? Do what you got to do. But when you know better, do better. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't want no parts of it. All that 5, 6, 7 kids later, because you're looking for love, and then we got all these things to deal with. That's not being responsible. You know what I mean? And that's on all of us. I'm not saying it's just about, I made the right decision. What I'm saying is I owe it to you, your children, my community to talk about this. So hopefully y'all don't feel like I was preaching, because that's how I feel. I'm very passionate about a lot of things, you'll know, but prevention is one of them. Y'all think y'all were joining. Peace out.